Welcome to podcast number 2, Energizing Your Passion and Purpose as an Operations Leader. Have you had your passion sucked out of you, almost like you're lifeless? And do you no longer have purpose? This is Leadership Unscripted, and my name is Robin Landry. I'm an operations leader for many years. When you look at, or when you think about passion, typically, in my experience, it's sucked out of you by people. The first being a toxic coworker. If we were to look strategically and systematically and break this down, how do you overcome these people? You have people that are within meetings that are they're just trying to get you to, take the bait. They're throwing words out there, maybe making your team look bad. I experience it all. So you've probably experienced the same things. You have to start analyzing how they're doing that to you. If you're in a meeting and there's one person that's consistently stressing you out and you classify them as a toxic person, well, you need to start very systematically recording the things that are happening in that meeting. So if that toxic employee if it always seems that you're getting stressed when they're saying something about what one of your employees did that was a failure, and you're reacting to it, and they're seeing that you're reacting to it, well, they're going to keep doing it. So that's what I'm saying. You need to start journaling those things and not giving into, what they're sort of enjoying in that meeting, in terms of seeing you react to things. When you stop reacting to those things through analyzing the interactions you're having with those people, they're going to get bored. They're going to go on to someone else who's going to react to it. So it's really important that you journal things throughout the day. You can start this tomorrow. When you get into work, start journaling the things that people are doing where you classify those people as toxic or just sucking the life out of you. The second thing is a micromanaging boss. You feel, typically with a micromanaging boss, you feel that they're always ahead of you. So, if you're you're trying to improve on quality and you're getting better, and all of a sudden now they're focusing on efficiency. So now you're focused on that, and you always feel like you're always behind the game. The same thing happens with a micromanaging boss. You need to journal so that you have data to analyze. So in this sense, if you consistently see that you're getting emails about underperforming quality, well, you need to start recording those things and analyzing what it is that you're not doing. Perhaps maybe you're procrastinating, what you're not doing to sort of stay on top of that. And then if you realize that they're now focusing on efficiency, well, doing the same thing. So if they're really only ever focusing on quality and efficiency, then just start putting a more significant emphasis on those two things with your teams. And then start making sure that you have action plans that your teams are actually working on. So that this way, when you're being questioned on it, you can say, well, this is what I'm doing currently. And I'm not going to change my plan until I see the effectiveness of what's going on. So you don't just want to say, okay, yeah, I'll start focusing. You want to already be focusing on these things with something that you're actually tactically trying to do within your team, so that you already have an action plan and you're assessing its effectiveness. When you have those things, then you can respond back, and if your boss has any good sense, they're going to say, okay, he or she is actually doing something currently, I'm not going to get involved. Another thing is you can feel, going back to a micromanaging boss, you can feel that your passion's being sucked out anytime you bring up a plan or a vision that you have. I heard this once said in this other YouTube video that I was listening to, and it was about some more founding fathers of leadership, going back 100 years. And they said, don't broadcast your vision, don't broadcast your plans. People will see your plans, your vision through your performance. So when you don't give somebody and say, this is my plan or this is my future vision, there's nothing that they can bash, that they can attack. You can't attack air. So hold on to your plans and visions as long as you can, and just show how well you're doing through performance. And then that's one less thing that somebody can take away from you. Another one is, in terms of your passion being sucked down, is draining employees or underperforming employees. You're basically focusing all your energy on this low 10% of employees, as opposed to focusing on the top 10% or the higher 90% of employees. Really, what you got to do is realize, of those couple of bad apples in your workforce, is it worth your motivation and your team's motivation being sucked away because of having these employees within your organization? Would it be much more effective that you just part ways with these employees, and then you have a stronger passion, stronger motivation, you're able to motivate your team better, and you're able to get more productivity out of that larger group of people than trying to bring these couple of people up to a 50% efficiency or not impacting your team. So it's really important you look at those employees that are negative, that are going around slandering on the shop floor. And there's a couple in each company. There's always a couple. Those employees need to go. You're running a business, you're not running a charity. So you have to remember, you're being paid for performance, for the best performance from the money that that the company's investing in you and your team. If there are a couple that are underperforming and they're actually causing others to underperform because they just waste time slandering and gossiping on the shop floor, you need to get them out of your company. And then when they're out, of course, they're going to say, oh, you're a horrible company, you're a horrible leader. Well, actually, they need to come to a realization at some point in their life when they mature that it was actually them that caused the situation they're in. And I hope that employees, when they move on to another company, they come to that realization and they're much better in their next company. Talking about purpose, losing purpose. Just something I have here. Purpose is lost by your inability to write down things and visualize them. When you don't write things down, you can easily lose touch with what your purpose is within your organization. Because when you have things written down, you can see them, and you're not swayed back and forth by all the firefighting that you have to do. So it's very critical that you're always writing down, even if you write down, this is my purpose for my week. If there's a couple of projects that you have to do, write those 3 projects and maybe one thing each of those projects that you want to get accomplished this week. Put it on your wall so that you see it for the week. And this way, all the firefighting and all the other things that are getting sucked out of your life, you're driving forward. You still have motivation because you see those things, and when you scratch those things off, it's motivational. So it's really important to write down a couple of things that you want to accomplish through the week as part of your ultimate vision, your ultimate purpose. And one thing it's important, when you have passion and you have purpose, you're more motivated and you're able to motivate your team. And when your team's motivated, they're able to be more productive. There's less quality issues. They're probably gonna follow policies more consistently. There's a lot of benefits that come out of having passion and purpose within your self, and it comes from doing these small little things. Specifically, journaling is a very critical thing, and being able to go back and analyze how your day went, who was the toxic person, why do you classify them as toxic. So when you see consistent things, then you can start breaking those down and coming up with, almost like root cause corrective action for your own purpose and passion. I hope this was very helpful. I know it was a pretty short podcast. Once again, I'll be presenting podcasts each week, perhaps in the future, every couple of or a couple of times per week. Most importantly, I do have almost 20 years of operation experience at multiple different companies, different workforce sizes. I have experienced a lot of stuff in my career. I don't claim to know everything. I'm sure there's many listening that have other ideas or better experience in certain aspects of leadership. But I always want, if you need any help, just send me an email with your question. You can get my email on the YouTube channel. And most importantly, please subscribe and like the video. It will help me to gain traction on building my community and ultimately be able to provide this information to others, because I ultimately want to help you guys become better leaders and have a stronger drive to want to perform and excel at your job, your leadership role. Thank you.